What's up? Oh, at the council meeting. Yeah. No, she's not. Oh, okay. Sounds good. All right, bye.
Have to add on. It's gonna have to add on. All right, I think it's, maybe ready to go over there. Okay, we'll call to order the Lamberton City Council regular meeting, City Hall electronic phone for October 11th, 2022 at 6:30 PM. First thing is additions or deletions to the agenda.
Okay, I have additions. You're gonna put Lee Shaffron under, Deb Pack. And then complaints on weed and garbage. And then we are going to. I added an additional police chief applicant. And we are gonna add resolution 2022-24 to add election judges. And we're gonna just do under probably just RCA cameras in Park, Main Street.
And that after where?
We'll do it after the fire contracts on the RCA's.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
By opposed? Motion accepted. Then we've got the consent agenda, which is minutes from September 12th, 2022, regular city council, September 29th, 2022, special council meeting. And we did not have a meeting for the meeting. Those two.
Make a motion to accept those.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Agenda accepted. Meeting minutes accepted. Okay, then we'll go on to general business. First one is citizens' complaints and concerns. Bryce and Deb Pack Boulevard repair.
Yes. We, first of all, thank you for listening to me, taking the time. From the street project done in 2020, our whole front yard, Boulevard yard was all torn up. And I know a lot of people, but when they fixed it, they put on, well, it's supposed to be dirt, but it's basically gravel. We picked up lots of rocks. I know Bryce was in here in July and told you that whole thing. Then they seeded it, but the only thing that has grown is weeds. We've overseeded it and we've asked when they're gonna, because we were told they were gonna come back and fix it. And it hasn't happened. We were told it was gonna happen in spring of 2021. Well, spring turned into fall of 2021 and now spring of 2022, we're just hearing the same stuff. Now it's October and we want to get our front lawn seeded so it will come in next spring. It's ridiculous. We can't dig out that dirt ourselves and till it up and put new dirt in there. We can seed it and we can take care of it by watering it. But we need somebody to do something. And I don't know what that something is. And if you're not going to do anything about it, if we're kicking this can down the road, just tell us so we can get it done.
We're not kicking the can down the road. There's a process that we have to go through with the contractor. And I'm assuming this was the email that he got.
Right,
Owen
those are
got-
the letters I included in your.
So I'll just read you the last email that we got from. This would be a Dunick representative because our engineer and Justin went through the walkthrough back in
Yes.
August or
Yep.
whatever. And then we submitted the whole list of, now everything now is under a warranty, basically.
Okay.
If it's not up to par, they have to come and fix it in a 2-year period. And I think that was gonna expire in November, December. So before that, we had to submit anything. So we submitted and your lawn was one of the things in there. So this is his response. For items regarding curb stops and sump boxes, we will address those towards the end of the fall. Would entail lowering in some spots, adding some topsoil if settled. Maybe November 1st or so when crews get closer to completing current projects. And then it's concrete replacement items will happen in the spring unless something changes with Hoffman's schedule. I don't know who Hoffman's is, but must be a subcontractor. Seating we will look at. I don't have any date yet. Monty was looking at his contracted work on if he could get in quick to oversee those 2 items. We will update and get closer. We'll get some completed this fall, the remainder in the spring. So that's where we're
I
at.
know, Lydell, and I'm sorry that we are impatient, and I know it's just our lawn and it doesn't affect anyone else, I know that. But we can't even have the grandkids play out in the front yard the way it is, you know, Colby and Sarah just got a puppy and she's digging in it, and it's not a lawn at all. And we've been patient, you know, it was 2020 when it was done. And so, like I said, it's been going on. I just want to know, is there going to be some sort of money to fix it?
I don't know about money. I would assume they're gonna try to fix it.
They're going to try to fix it
Yeah.
in their grand old time.
Yeah.
And what would happen if we did it and submitted a bill?
That would be up to them. I don't know if they would honor that or not. I don't.
Very, very, very frustrating,
I
to say the
understand that,
very least.
but it's where we're at with
It's
it.
where we're at, but it's been that way. And I've talked to board people too, and I've talked to you, and I've talked to Mel, and Bryce has talked to Nick, and we've talked to Justin. I don't know. Give me the guy's number. I'll call him. I can be kind of ornery sometimes, you know, I can. But I just, if you're not gonna do anything, if-
Again, I'm gonna stop you there because we're not doing anything. We're following the process. We realize it takes time,
right,
but we're following the process. And at this point, they haven't said they're not gonna fix it. So
You can't oversee gravel, we're gonna have to take that out.
I know they have to take that gravel out of there. What they put down was gravel. And then they threw some seed on top of it and then some green stuff, and we left it go. And the next year, the only thing that came up that was green was weeds.
So like what they wanna do is oversee.
I suppose.
Actually, after that email, I did ask Owen to look at it closer than just an overseed, because I know that that's an issue, and he asked them to make sure we look at it before.
I was gonna bring you a pail of my front yard dirt, but I thought that's kind of stooping kind of low. You're welcome to stop by, anybody, if you want to see it. There is no way anything is gonna grow there. No way.
When we did the walk around with Owen, we did walk up there and. I mean, he's physically saw the dirt and everything, so I mean, I don't think it's gonna be an overseed, I really don't.
But it can't be.
Well, no, and they've tried that already.
Yeah, they did. They tried that. It needs to be dug out and replaced.
Yeah.
With something that's not gravel.
So that's the best answer we can give you is it's still on their list to get taken care of. Now, hopefully they do.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Well, the warranty you said runs out in November.
Well, but we've submitted it, so they've got to
Right,
fix
they
this
got
stuff.
that, but say they come and overseed it, and then it gets past November and it's still
Yeah.
don't grow, is the warranty done?
I don't know. I think there's some action we could take there if it's feasible, but
I know we're Minnesota nice, and we generally are, all for everything that we do as far as that goes. We're proud of our city. We're also proud of our yard. It just keeps getting pushed down.
well, hopefully they get it fixed. for us.
Well, hopefully.
That's all we can tell you at this point is we're following the process.
Maybe we can have a work day and come to my yard and dig it out.
Invite whoever you want.
It's ridiculous.
Okay, anything else on that?
Like all the boulevards?
No, that's the ones that were put in basically as a complaint. We're well aware that none of them were great. That's,
There's no grass there. No tops.
okay, thanks, Deb.
Yep.
Now we'll go to leach shaft.
Lee,
I was wondering how we can slow traffic down around the city park. I know there's been some stop signs changing around in the past, but there's a lot of kids around the city park now, and there's still traffic going by pretty fast. Didn't know if we could put up some stop signs, some more, or if we could get some children that play signs around the park. Just open to anything, try to slow traffic down. There's a lot of kids that go to the park now.
There is a stop sign on each intersection there, isn't there?
not the east, west,
Right, yeah, yeah.
or south, it's got them, but
And they go by there pretty fast
They do.
on our side too.
and that would possibly be something to look at is throwing some up on the east, west too.
Make them into a four-way stop even right around the park there or something.
They don't really stop at the north-south ones either.
Nope.
They roll right through them. Same on Birch Street. And they travel pretty fast on the common highway, and there's kids that are out there on bikes and
Yeah.
especially in the summer going to the pool.
Any other ideas on it?
Just stop signs or children that play or something, just something.
Before somebody gets hurt.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah, when I came up here tonight, there must have been 7, 8, 9 kids down there playing.
I know Tony Sauer's kids go over there and my kids now go over there, and then Claire Olson's kids go over there, and then our neighbors, there's 2 or 3 kids there. And then plus all their friends.
Yeah.
For each one of them. The city park is getting used a lot, and it looks great. I appreciate all the work that's been done there.
It honestly wouldn't hurt to have four-way stops all the way around it, really. I mean, what difference would it make? You know, at least it would, they should stop and, and at least it would slow them down a bit, because Second Avenue, Third Avenue, Fourth Avenue, they're kind of all the, everybody's zooming on off the main, leaving it. And I know what you're saying. I drive by it all the time. I see the same thing. So I think that'd be a good idea, just at least, so it'd be 4 more intersections or 4 more.
Yep.
Sets of signs, but it's something to think about anyway, for sure. So talk to Justin and see what he thinks and go from there, maybe.
What do you think?
That's your guys' call.
Is there a problem with putting signs up? Stop signs there?
So whatever you guys decide is what we'll do.
So you're all here tonight to make a motion. Set a table in it.
I'll make the motion to go, the one intersection on Third, intersection or both the 2 intersections on Third, add the 2. So we just all do it. I mean, and then the same on the 4th, both all the way around, then we're covered. And because I don't want to see anybody get hurt either. And I know there's a lot of kids that go by there every day, so I'll make the motion.
So you'd have 4-way stop at all 4 corners of
Yep.
the park, is that what
Yep.
you're? That work?
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
By opposed? Motion passes. See if it works. Should get you 4-way stops or get us 4-way stops there. Can't hurt to try it.
No.
And then you wanted garbage right
And I
there.
just put the lead complaint in your packet, just
Oh,
so you're
okay.
aware, and then it's on the agenda, but it's been looked at.
And
I did
did
send
we send the letter last month? Because we talked about
Yep,
those
I sent a
houses.
letter to Hagadorn and they were given until the tenth, which was yesterday.
And I guess it looked like they had mowed it to me at one time, but I didn't look that close when I went by there either, but. Okay, then we've got carbon capture pipeline,
Can I
concerned citizen.
say something with the citizen complaints about the cats?
Yeah,
Not received traps since well before August. I was at the August meeting. I had talked to you, I was supposed to get traps over there. They're still running wild. They were on my neighbor's deck the other day, yesterday. And it's not only hers. I walk around town quite often and there's a ton of cats with collars that are, people, they don't understand cats need to be in the house or on a leash or something. So blatantly disregarding if anybody has talked to them, and she's told me she likes them outside when she's doing her yard work, but she might be outside, but they're not in her yard.
she's still trapping.
I guess that's some, yeah. Sam went to college, so he's out. She even sets him on weekends if he comes home.
Can that be farmed out to somebody who is in town and wants to, or is able to do the job, or?
Maybe we should just advertise to hire somebody as, that.
Animal control. You
I
don't
can
really
help
have
with
one.
that.
There you go.
But I mean, it's probably the right thing to do is go through the application process and
Yeah,
have people apply to do it. And if you end up having two, three, I mean, I don't care if you have 2 or 3 people doing it, but I mean, something needs to be done.
Well, it's just like you talk about dogs that run loose, and I mentioned it before, it's still an animal that's registered or licensed through the city, and they don't care. There's a lot of the owners of animals, of cats, that let them out during the day and they come home at night. Well,
yeah.
I don't want them walking on my car, on my deck, or, I don't have a cat for a reason. I don't have a dog for a reason.
I guess I would like to see a notice in the paper or something to stop feeding them too. My neighbor is constantly feeding them strays. They're all over our street.
But these aren't strays.
The ones
Well,
in
right.
our yard are.
I mean, and then during mating season, then you got Chuck Zamzo's cats in his house too, making noise and gets a little loud on our street.
Well, and I'd set a trap out and take care of them, but then they're gonna get mad because I probably don't have the right to do that.
I don't know. I don't know what on your property.
On your property, you should be
But
okay.
you shouldn't have to. I
No,
mean,
no, right.
that shouldn't be your problem to do it.
Well, I think you should try to find somebody to do it on a consistent basis.
Are you gonna go about that?
I don't know.
I'll make a motion to advertise for animal control personnel.
I'll second it, but do we need to set up some perimeters?
I was gonna say, what?
We'll need to find out what,
happens to these
they're gonna get paid and that type of thing.
Yeah, we're gonna have to set up, mainly the pay thing and where they go if they get trapped. If they automatically go to impound or,
So there's lots of farmers that want them for around their hog barns, stuff like that. So we were taking a lot of them to farm places.
And if they have collars on them?
Yeah, we really can't. If somebody owns them.
hold them for ransom.
Probably.
But I was gonna say, you could charge them. to get
Or
back.
fine.
Right, yeah, yeah,
That's the term I think you're looking for.
yeah. They would have to go to impound for a certain amount of time. The owner has to claim them.
But then you should talk to the animal shelter in Redwood to get on their you have to pay them so much to take animals there, otherwise they will not take them, so you gotta get that. That's,
And then we're paying mileage up to the shelter and everything.
I don't know what their minimum fee is, but so much a day or something, but. You'll have to get in touch with the animal shelter up there.
But that would, to me, would be the owner's responsibility to pay.
Yes, it would be, but
Yes.
yeah, it should be.
Yeah, they have to pay to get them out.
And reimburse, if the city has to pay, reimburse for whatever fees there are.
Is that something we could take a bid for? Animal control, so much an animal or? do we
Yeah, I
have to-
think that's something maybe we wanna do some research on. I don't know.
Before we jump in
Maybe.
deep on that. Cause we've got a motion in a second, so basically we're in the discussion phase of this.
I mean, we can advertise to hire and then work this out in the meantime, correct? Because we're gonna have to get somebody to do it anyway.
Yeah. I just worried about how you advertise that, but what you ask her. I don't know.
I guess I
It used to be.
have an idea what you're gonna pay for, so if somebody calls City Hall and says, well, what's it pay, whatever, I don't wanna put in. Application or whatever, I guess I'd have it figured out what you're gonna pay, have it all figured out before you advertise, I would say.
It used to be $20 animal, I think, for several years. But then if we have to haul them to Redwood too, then there probably would, be, if it was in a city employee or whatever, it would have to be something figured in for mileage too, but like you said, to have them, they'd actually have to reimburse that to get it.
Well, if they have city tags, I mean, the animal control person could have the sheet of the, who owns
The
the
license.
animals, so.
Mhm. You give them back, set up a warning system or something,
Mhm.
but yeah, there's a lot of things that we'd have to figure out, but something needs to be done, that's for sure. If they're that thick, and there's a lot of them, we see them all the time too, so.
So we've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
By opposed? Aye. For the simple fact of, I think we need more details, but motion passes 4-1.
Can I say one thing about the park?
Yeah,
I noticed tonight when I was walking through, there's broken glass on the sidewalks.
hopefully you picked it up.
And there's a lot of broken glass on the sidewalks, a lot of little
Okay.
pieces. I think it's time for cameras in the park.
Yeah.
I go to bed early, so I can't keep an eye on it.
All right, carbon capture pipeline concerned citizens.
Okay. So can I just suggest, we have a few people in the entryway, I know some other county commissioners are in there, I wondered if we could just make room for them.
Yep.
Just to
find
stand,
some-
I mean, we're standing room only, but just so they can hear a little better. They can come around.
Behind you.
Around behind the table.
Yeah, and they can come around behind us too.
The old guy can take my chair.
Bob, go ahead and have my chair.
For the show.
Right here.
Bob, she gave you her.
Right here.
No, thank you. Thank you.
So you're on for the carbon capture?
I am on, I guess I
Okay.
got voted for this. This is not something I typically do, but I feel very strongly about this. And I'll try to make this quick. But first of all, we do have a petition that was sent around. We have 94 signatures on that petition. I will give each of you a copy of what I'm going through tonight, plus the signatures. I'm going to read what it says on the petition, and then I just have a few points that I want to give you, and then you guys can kind of give it from there at some point. I mean, it's not something we're gonna get into a big discussion tonight. I don't know if any of you went to Summit's meeting over at the Legion. But anyway, so this is the statement. We, the undersigned, want to express our immediate concerns regarding the city of Lamberton's announcement that they are considering an easement for Summit Carbon Solutions in our community. Summit Carbon Solutions is an out-of-state company that is proposing to build a hazardous liquid, high-pressure carbon dioxide pipeline through our community. We ask you to take pause and note that this is a highly contested 5-state interstate pipeline proposal. There is a moratorium from the state on local governments on permitting this project. The state has not approved the project or the route. At the very least, because of the hazard and safety risks this pipeline poses, wait to make any decisions until a comprehensive environmental review has been completed. Piping CO2 through a pipeline must be done at very high pressures, 2 to 3 times higher than a natural gas pipeline. At these pressures, a CO2 pipeline rupture can lead to rapid, uncontrolled release of CO2 into the surrounding area, posing a serious risk to any people, animals, or vegetation in the area. This company has never built a pipeline before, and there has never been a pipeline like this, and certainly not one this size or at this scale. Do we really want our community to be part of this pilot project? This company seeks to make millions for the next 2+ decades off the backs of rural communities like ours. Think of the legacy you are leaving for the next generation to deal with. There is no hurry to sign easement or permits of any kind. Please do not rush to the door because Summit is trying to entice you with financial incentives. I've been reading quite a bit about this, especially since the meeting. This isn't, sometimes we think of this maybe as being just the farmers, the landowners, but this thing is going to come within a mile of Lamberton, of the city of Lamberton. If that ruptures, and it has, they just had a rupture in Mississippi. I would encourage you all to read what happened during that time. Luckily, there were no deaths, but there's still after effects, health after effects of these people. There's still effects on the land around where the rupture took place. I questioned Summit about this, and they said that, well, they did everything wrong. But Summit's never done this either. So we can't guarantee they're going to do everything right either. And they said, well, their response times will be faster. The response time and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, in Satartia, Mississippi, was 1 minute. And their first responders, what happens when this ruptures, it is low to the ground, it's an asphyxiant, and it takes just seconds for that to take a person down. It takes all the oxygen out of the air, so cars don't work. People were trying to flee, their cars stopped. First responders couldn't even go in because they didn't have the equipment. Their vehicles didn't work. And this is all a possibility here. Not saying it's going to happen, but it could. And do we want to put our city in that type of situation? We're building a brand new school. Do we want to take do we want to take the responsibility for this? I've lived here since 1975. We've chosen to stay here. We talked about moving. We've chosen to stay here. I'm older. I don't maybe have a lot of years left, but I don't want to spend those years worrying about what's going to happen down at Kuhar. Not only can I take that out, the experiment station, the ethanol plant itself, there's just too much unknown. And the company is really the only one that's going to make a lot of money off this. Talk to the people around town. There's a lot of people that don't understand what is happening here. Talk to them, talk to the businesses, talk to our first responders. Are they ready for something like this to happen? We need to make the people in town aware of what is happening, of what is going on, about what this is all about. You know, they might hear and say, oh, they're after the farmers for an easement. Well, they're after our city for an easement at Kuhar. And I just feel like it's too dangerous. It's too much of a risk for us to let them be that close. And I also wanted to just read a little bit about the Kuhar Park. In 1929, local businessman Martin Kuhar deeded an area of land along the Cottonwood River to the city of Lamberton. Mr. Kuhar meant for this park to be a place for gathering fun and relaxation. He did not want this donated land to be used for any commercial purposes, even though the park area is located outside the city limits. The city agreed to accept the land and maintain the park in perpetuity. We have a wonderful little town here, and I really would hate to see it put in danger because of some big corporation who wants to make a lot of money off this. I guess that's the other thing that we wanted to ask you is that before you make a decision, could you please have a meeting? And all of us here are out talking to people. So hopefully we could get a lot of concerned citizens into this meeting. And then we also would appreciate maybe having a chance to vote on something this important. You know, we're putting a lot of money into a brand new school. And it's important. It's important to us. So we really would like you to look into this more, read some things about Summit, read some things about other places. Iowa, just the farmers down there are talking about the easements that I think it's Navigator put CO2 pipelines through when they've been putting other pipelines through, and the yield that they have lost because of these. I mean, and that's the farmers, that's from the farmers out by Aberdeen, South Dakota. The people out there are not happy. And the funny thing was when Summit came to talk, they were all about everybody is for this in South Dakota, North Dakota, Iowa, but they're not. I'm reading from Aberdeen, South Dakota. I'm reading from Iowa. These people aren't all for this, but they're making it sound like everybody wants it. The plan is to capture the carbon out in North Dakota where there are rock formations out there. Now, this is highly unlikely, but it was brought up that what happens if there would be an earthquake in North Dakota, which we think is kind of far-fetched, but we never know nowadays what happens. That what happens then to all that CO2 that's been stored in that rock formation. So that's just a few points I wanted to make. I hope you'll think about this. I will make sure you guys get a copy of this. And if you have any questions, Kathy, Sharon, Anita, Vogel, myself have been really keeping track of what's been happening and what's going on. You can ask any one of us and hopefully we can answer your questions. If not, we can find an answer. And look into these things yourself. There's some really good Facebook things. I don't know if you're on Facebook or not, that come up constantly on what's happening with these things. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions or anything?
Could I just speak in briefly?
Sure.
I think I understand that rightfully so, there's a lot of concern about, you know, what this pipeline does or doesn't mean for the future of the Hammer National Plant. I think all of us in here want our farmers to thrive, do well. We want our local economy and our local business to do well. And really, everything we're learning about this pipeline, our stance is in opposition to it, but it's certainly not in opposition to the ethanol plant and where we would like to see that hopefully thrive for the future. And one of my, I think, biggest points, that is largely misunderstood is that this pipeline is the one and only avenue that an ethanol plant can take now to ensure it continues on in the future, because it will lower the carbon score. The carbon's being captured. They get a better price on the market. And California right now, as far as I'm aware, is about the only place that's offering that these tax incentives are, kind of coming back to ethanol and mostly to Summit. Let's be clear, not mostly to the ethanol plant. It's vastly Summit that would capitalize from these taxpayer incentives, which are of course ultimately coming from all of our pockets. And the profit isn't staying here; it's leaving here. But I was going to, as far as the other avenues, I think for the ethanol plant, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask Peg, who is here from CURE, which is a nonprofit in Montevideo, which has been a great resource for educating all of us on pipeline. And I just was going to ask if she could just very succinctly, tell us why this pipeline doesn't determine the future of our ethanol plant in particular.
As was mentioned, my name is Peg Bershon. I'm also a landowner in Renville County, but this pipeline is going right by my property as well. So I'm like you, right? But there's a couple things to think about. So Summit tells you that your CI score is going to go down if we sequester the ethanol. But what we know is that it takes more energy to actually capture the carbon in the fermenting vats at the ethanol plant than it does to actually make the ethanol. And that is not in the carbon intensity footprint yet. And they're asking for an adjustment on that CI score to lower because we're going to sequester it. But if they do that evaluation, it means they're also going to evaluate how much energy it takes to change the gas to a liquid. And you have to have it at very, you're going to be using natural gas at very high temperatures to distill, compress, and chill that liquid CO2 or that gas into a liquid. And that amount of energy might even be a wash for the amount of benefit they're going to get for sequestering it in the ground. I don't know because they haven't done that yet, but Summit fails to tell you that when they're selling you that. And to be fair, you should know that that's an issue. There are several states that purchase ethanol on the low carbon fuel market. California, oftentimes we hear them. There's actually 4 right now. There's Washington, Oregon, California, and Nevada that do it, as well as Canada. And there's another probably dozen states, including Minnesota, that are also looking to go to the low carbon fuel market for ethanol. But one thing to remember is there's a cap on how many gallons of that low carbon ethanol that they can produce. So if every ethanol plant is going to go to this process and try to get on that market, it's just like selling corn. If the market's oversaturated, the price for the ethanol is probably going to change. And you don't have to believe me. I know you all know if you're in a rural community and you work with an ethanol plant and corn and farmers, commodities, you know that the market is dependent, the price is dependent on the market. And markets only have so much capacity to bear their product. So keep that in mind as well too, because they don't talk about that. And I think that's important. One thing we do know that is if the ethanol plants, and there are some ethanol plants in the country, even in the state, and I'm not familiar with the Lamberton one specifically, but I know like the one in Benson, for example, they are exploring other avenues for their ethanol. They're working with specialty fuels that need higher octane, like for aviation fuel, and they're not going to be doing this sequestering process. They're foregoing it, and they're actually looking to the market for the future of their community. And I can't speak to other ones. I only know that one because we're working with that one specifically. We have been in communication with them about that process and trying to understand why they're making those decisions. And what they said is if they produce a lower carbon fuel and they have to rail it out to California, they lose their CI benefit. They lose their carbon intensity benefit because it costs more money to rail it out to California than it does to sell it to the state of Minnesota. So they sell the majority of their ethanol to the state of Minnesota, and they just are keeping their footprint here for the benefit of their co-op there. So those are all some things just to think about related to some of the things that they're telling you. The other thing I would just tell you is, you've heard the reference to the other states specifically. I can tell you Iowa, 32 of the county commissioners have voted against this project. There are farmers that grow corn or ethanol plants that are against this project. Now, they are in a pipeline corridor and they've had lots of experience with pipelines. And so I think that they probably have pipeline fatigue. One of the disadvantages we have in the 10 counties in Minnesota that this pipeline is scheduled for the footprint is none of these communities have had pipeline construction projects like this to this size for this purpose. That's an interstate pipeline. So some landowners have never dealt with these kind of easements or this kind of company before. And they're trying to purchase as much land and get as many easements signed before people really know what's going on. Because once they do the environmental impact study and the state starts doing the permitting process, Summit filed last year, or Summit came on the, started coming to the county commissioner meetings late last summer, a year ago. And we found out about it in October and November, and we organized a petition for environmental review clear back then. The state couldn't do anything about that because Summit didn't file for any permits. They just filed their very first permit a couple weeks ago for the shortest branch, which goes from Fergus Falls to Breckenridge. It's 28.5 miles. And we think the reason why they did that is because they're hurting right now, because Iowa doesn't want this, South Dakota doesn't want it. And those two states and Nebraska down in that hub, that pipeline corridor, they're holding up the project down there because our branch has to go down through them. They can't get the CO2 to the main trunk. But what they can do up north is they don't have to go through Iowa. So they want to get something going, sooner than later, because I think their investors are getting itchy. And justifiably so. They've been working on it for like a year and a half and they've got really no movement.
We're getting kind of off base on Lamberton here, so.
Well, I'm just saying,
Well,
all of this is like reason to be
I know.
cautious.
I
So
just-
thank you for your time.
Thank you. Just for some information on, first of all, the only thing they've come is basically and showed us a plan to go through the backside of Kubar.
Right.
I believe it's a 4-inch pipe. The thing in Mississippi was a 24-inch pipe. That broke. No, I'm just saying for some information. So when they came to us, then High Water invited me and Justin and Val, and I think Jim was there and another county commissioner maybe, out to High Water and the press that day. Cherry was there for the newspaper and did the tour and their whole thing and stuff. And the whole reason that the meeting was at the Legion that night that you attended was because we basically demanded that they hold one because nobody in town knew. So we're not trying to hide anything here.
No,
We're
no.
not trying to sneak something in. We want everybody to be as informed as, or at least I do, as informed as possible. They have not come back with any actual easement. They gave us a sample one that we looked at, I think last month or the month before. They haven't come with a proposal of any kind to us yet, so.
We didn't want you to feel like we felt you were hiding something from us, because that's not what we felt at all. We're just as concerned citizens, just want you to know how we feel.
Yeah.
And then, because, no,
We're-
we never meant
Right.
it to be that we.
My point is we're not gonna try to sneak this vote in just to
Right.
have it done.
Yeah.
So the more people know, the better off everything is, and
Thank you,
so.
thank you.
Anything else on this subject?
I have, as a concerned citizen also and taxpayer in Lamberton. My concern with this, we have a beautiful park. Let anybody have easement through there without a benefit to Lamberton, which it wouldn't be. My concern with Deb Pack, paid a lot of tax dollars we are to make those streets beautiful like they are, but the boulevards also. So it's too bad that we can't take legal action or whatever. If they're dragging their feet to get past whatever it is, I mean, it's a bunch of crap really. Man, I go back there and see that mess she's got. I mean, you gotta have to get in with bobcats and haul it out and all dirty them, I mean, so, but
Yep.
just a concerned citizen
Thank you.
and taxpayer.
I don't
And
know,
taxpayer.
and the council for seeing us tonight and letting us speak.
Thank you for
Well-
hearing us.
Yep,
Yeah.
no problem. It's good to see people here. Yes.
And I would say if you want to have another community meeting and you want someone other than Summit presenting, not us, there are people that have science and solid information that could present additional information that would help the community make a good decision. Because somebody who's trying to sell you something and get you to buy into something is only giving you half the story. And so if you need help finding someone, or if you'd like us to come back, we'd be happy to do so.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So if it isn't run through Coar Park, it's still the city's problem too, right? I mean, you're not just,
I don't know for sure, but I would think that we have no other. Nothing else to be. Through us, I
If
don't,
they'd move it, we wouldn't have it.
the only reason they even came to us is because. What I was told at one of the meetings was the landowner on both sides has already agreed. And that's would be the best route is to go under the river and. Now, again. What their actual, what they would do if we voted them down or,
they're just
I-
trying to sneak it around another.
yeah.
In all honesty, I think part of the reason they're going to Blue now isn't because the landowner on each side, it's because the University of Minnesota told you no. So it's drifting this direction.
Not possible. I really don't know. So. That's as much info as we have right now.
As far as other things citizens can do, I know we're going to be working to get digital petitions going for our counties, for our county commissioners to, hear more from us in Redwood and Cottonwood specifically. So even if the city doesn't have recourse, I guess, in terms of any more of an opinion or actions, there are things we can do at the county level and beyond as well.
All right, thank you. Okay, then we'll move on to zoning permits and variance requests. 2022-16 for a fence.
We didn't want you to feel like you were in prison.
We wanted to vote.
Thanks for coming. Yep. Just take a little bit and let her quiet down, huh?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think so. Good night, John.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Excellent. Good night, Jim.
So on this, it looks like Justin signed off already and it looks like the setbacks are followed. So
I'll make a motion for that building permit.
second, got a motion and a second. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. By opposed? Motion carries. Okay, request for council action. RCA for council wages.
Just when I'm going through the budget stuff, it's just one of the things on the checklist, so I just wanted to see if there was anything you wanted done.
Well, before this, I was gonna say we're fine, but I know it says here that you could do it next month, but I'm not sure you can.
Okay.
Because if we did, first of all, I don't even know if anybody's thinking about raising anything, but I just remember from that last time, some of you guys weren't on then. But it had to be done before the election and then it goes into effect after the next election.
Okay.
So if we waited till November, the election would be over and it wouldn't take effect for basically 2 years is my understanding.
That's the way I understood it
I could
too.
be totally wrong, but
That's the way I understood it too, though.
so
I guess I'm against it anyway, just, I think.
I am too.
Yeah, it's.
I think we're fine.
I think we
So
are too.
Nope,
We,
that's fine.
we
I
could
just-
find out, you know, I don't think we want to go years and years. I don't remember how long the last time was, but it was a long time.
20.
But this is 3 years or whatever, so we're 4 years. You just find out exactly how it's supposed to be done but I think we're fine anyway, so. I'm assuming nobody's gonna make a motion on that, then, right? Okay. Commercial club membership. And just so everybody knows, I'm the one who sent this letter, or actually gave it to Nick, is I am the president of the commercial club. And after reading Val's notes, it's just, I think in the past, I know Madonna came to quite a few meetings. I think it just covers the clerk. You know, but anybody from the city, I think, could, but it's usually the clerk. But I know Steve used to come to some here and there back in the day, but it makes no difference.
I just know it's, if I'm involved with something, I don't wanna just,
Yeah,
you know, I
95% of
wanna
our,
give my time, but I don't know what I can give.
95% of the businesses and people who are in the commercial club never come to a meeting. Probably the only thing most of them take part in is taste of the season that the commercial club kind of runs, and that's it. So if we do vote on this, or if you guys make a motion, I will sustain or abstain anyway, because I am the president of the commercial club, so. But nobody makes the motion, that's fine too.
And I don't know if it makes sense for the EDA to, would it make more sense for the EDA to join, or is the EDA, you know what I mean, it's the same organization kind of a thing? Or is it two separate items?
Don't know. Okay, nothing going on there. Application for police chief. I don't think we're supposed to give the names at this point, are we? Till we actually agree.
So I received the one that you have in your packet. Now I gave you another one that I received today. With you, so that one you can have to it. That one that we were unable to get connected with the last time. I have them all pre-scheduled down for Monday. The 17th, starting at 5 o'clock. 2 will be via Zoom and 1 will be in person.
Okay, do we need a motion to? I don't know, we need a motion, just kind of read through it. Okay, then we will move on to squad dash game.
I sent this all off to Mike. His thought was to go with the date one. If it can be moved to new squad, that can happen.
Which I'd assume is the most expensive one.
Well, yeah, it's like 200.
There's 11,000.
It's. Then they have the one where you can pay, what is it, $160 a month, 5 years, and that just includes everything in the movement.
Yes, I'd like to see if we get the higher before we go ahead and purchase all this stuff.
It's like just like somebody that understands what they actually are and what we're doing. Yeah, and I just don't.
Well, yeah, but I don't think we need to spend the money if we don't have anybody at this point.
So it looks like it's good till the first of the year anyway, for quotes.
Yeah.
So let's just table that then and see what we come down with here. Okay, RCA to change EDA meeting dates.
So we've had trouble with getting forms in the past because of the Monday meetings and members that have kids and activities and whatnot, so what we'd like to do is try Saturdays at 5:15.
No,
No, not
Or
Saturday.
Saturdays, Wednesdays.
Good luck getting it full.
Wednesdays at 5:15.
Let me know how that works for you.
We should be done before church on Lenten services, but there should be no school activities that interfere besides practices, so. Since it's one of those things that the council adopts, I need them to adopt the new schedule
I'll
the
make,
remainder of the year.
I'll make a motion, change the meeting dates.
I'll second.
got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
By opposed? Motion accepted. Okay. RCA for approved new ambulance service members.
I'll make that motion and welcome both of them back.
Second that. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. RCA fire contract rates for 2023.
I have made contact with a few people in regards to the city of Revere as far as how other cities go about charging cities. Some of them use a formula based on like the net value or net worth of the property in Revere. We do a formula based on that. Some do it per person. It's pretty much can be anything. One thing they just do encourage us is to meet with the city of Revere before we make any decisions, just so that everybody's on the same page. And I have not had the chance to meet or contact Revere at this point. So
Would that be a courtesy that should be extended to the townships as well then?
could, but I think the city of Revere would be looking for a higher increase than the first section on a township.
So you don't want us to act on this until you do that, or?
No, you can act on it. I'm just saying
Okay.
that one is one that needs to be looked at further.
What is it at now? How did we do it now?
Right now, they charge them for two sections, so they get paid $500. They pay us $500 a year for fire coverage. And now they switched to rural water, so they don't have hydrants, so we are hauling all the water. I talked to some guy today, or one guy from that they cover an adjoining city that has about 200 people in it. Revere has about 100. And they get paid $5,000 a year
Because of the water.
just to cover the city. They have hydrants, but just to cover the city, they can pay $5,000 a year.
Okay.
I'm not saying we need to go to that extreme, but I'm
Right.
saying 500, I think is a little low.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is.
So you want us to make a motion on this before we figure out what we're gonna do?
Well, the Revere one's gonna take a while. I mean, that's not gonna be I mean, we could go next year just doing the 550, raising $25 per section. And then look for the following year to have something more in place.
Is that what you prefer?
Yeah, at this point, there's too much going on. I can't get
Okay.
it done.
Then I'll make a motion for these new fire contracts at the rates they are.
No second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Okay, and then we've got cameras downtown. Park.
Cameras in the park and downtown. So after that last bout of graffiti, I reached out to Mike Cuban, the police chief. He gave me the name of these people. These are the ones that did the parks the park in Westbrook. What I did is I had them do it in 3 phases so that like, if we wanted just to do the park, it would be that 1987 price. I know we've talked in the past about how it would be nice to have something on Main Street. So then I thought, well, if we had something like on the community center. Shooting kind of down Main Street, that would help. That's another 1,700. And then we talked about maybe possibly putting one on the corner of the bowling alley building, just so that you get them as they come into coming down Main Street, and then that cross section of First Avenue. And that would be in the additional 1,761. So all in all, if we did all three, we'd be talking $5,500. What happens is it's all wireless system. The video would be brought back to the ambulance building or to the police office and would be stored on a hard drive there. So and this is the only quote I've gotten, but I just wanted to kind of look into it to start to see what this would cost.
How much is it that we have to get more than one quote?
Oh, it's like 175,000.
75,000.
175,000.
It's a lot. It's quite a bit.
And it is something you could do in phases or whatever. I mean, the park is kind of nice just because we got that Lion's Kitchen there. You know what I mean? So, you know, we can put that camera where it looks at the bathrooms and it's
Right.
kind of easy. But
As much trouble as we've had lately, I would say we should get started on, maybe something part of it anyway.
And that's just one camera in the park.
I think they do.
It looks to me like it's only one.
I think so because and that's all I really asked it was,
Okay.
around the bathrooms because that's,
But it would be wide enough that it's gonna catch everything there?
yeah, sure.
And you probably don't know this, but if we wanted to add one or two more cameras in the park, just different angles. Is it a system that can do that?
I think so, because I think you can add. I think it'd be more, you just have to add the cameras.
Is there anybody else we could get a quote from?
I'm sure there is.
Could they have any that do a 360 around?
I think the ones down at the community center were 361s. Where did I see it? It was like a bulb.
Yeah, it says dome camera on the one that's what it says for.
Park
this
says
park.
that too.
Yeah, don't care.
For the First Avenue too.
I mean, they're all,
Dome type.
And it wouldn't bother the internet speed and all that stuff is good to go with what we have.
yeah, if they're coming out the ambulance base, yeah.
Be able to see the quality of the cameras before you buy them. Or
I would think so, and I would think even if they're the same as what Westbrook has, we could check out what they're getting there, what their video feed is. For that.
At different times of year, there's some stuff left in that building in the park. Where we serve on it. I'm just thinking like hot iron days, I leave a lot of stuff in that kitchen, I leave a ton of stuff on that north shelter. It might be nicer to have more than just the camera facing on the bathrooms. But I know it's added money, but
Yeah, I think she said it would go to the kitchen area and the bathroom area, so you can catch people, isn't that what you said, Val?
Well, it's just.
As
I
far as you know.
the bathroom, as far as I know, it's a dome camera, so it should do a sweep.
But just for the damage that was done up there now, just in labor, you're looking at over $1,000.
Mhm.
This is not the first time. It's the third time in my career at 11 years.
Have you seen any of the quality and
No. I
Oh.
haven't.
is this something you could maybe check into and we could put it on the agenda with Monday's thing and we could quick do that? Would that be,
Yeah,
at least for the park one?
Yeah. Yeah, we can do
maybe
that.
see if Human could
Get a-
Yeah,
show us some
Sample
pictures or
video.
something, some sample pictures off of theirs or something, just so we can kind of see.
But I think the Main Street one's a good idea too. Really, good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean,
We've been talking about it for.
And there is a
8 years,
business that has one.
I mean, we're looking at this quote to cover all three areas, the park and the two is a little under $6,000. That's,
Reasonable.
to me, that's,
is there any annual maintenance with it or fee with it at all, or is it just a one time?
It comes with training and everything in here, so.
I would think there's gotta be a fee to store it, doesn't it? I mean,
I think it goes on a hard drive. I
You're
don't think,
gonna have Wi-Fi to power it up. though.
yeah,
Yeah, which we do, but. I'm just curious if it has like data charge or something like that, you know?
yeah,
Auto erase type deal, yeah, which
I
I
thought I said 5 years someplace. Where did I see that? That was in the police one, yeah.
yeah, I'd like to see what the quality is and like what the storage is, how long before it. Because sometimes it might take 3 days before somebody would notice something.
well, that's
See how
just
long
it,
it
yeah,
takes
no, and I
before-
think, I'm pretty sure it was 30 days, but. We'll find out.
Yeah, I guess to me, I'd like to table this right now and find out the quality and answer some of those questions. And even if we have to come back next month.
So the other
when the
question I
park's
had
gonna
on
be
this
closed.
is. 2 times ago when it was vandalized. I was gonna put up a trail camera. I got around town, or whoever was doing it, and it quit. But there was a citizen in town that come unglued that we had to have signs and all this up under surveillance on it. So I don't know what all the rules are for that. You don't check.
Well, there ain't nothing inside the bathroom.
No, it would be, yeah,
I
right.
mean, you should be fine.
In a lot of places, you just
They
see
do
a
it
little
just
sign that
because.
says
Under surveillance.
premises is under video,
And they
you
maybe come with that.
know, and
You wanna ask them that?
I know that we had to put them up around the elevators when we put them.
I've seen them, yeah, I'll say smile, you're on camera,
Yeah.
things like that.
I just, it's another question to.
Yeah, she's got that on her list now.
yeah, I get some things answered, but in general, I think it's a good idea to
I.
start. I mean, the buses are almost all getting to be cameras and everything on them. And kind of the way everything's going, so. Okay, let's table that for now then. Department reports. Library. We all had there. In the ambulance. One in the. Anything else, Nick? Nothing?
No, only if you have any questions on the report.
I did, Nick. Are the EMTs, EMRs and drivers all gonna be paid the same on-call wage? Am I correct when I seen that?
Correct.
Okay, so it's not more because they're an EMT versus.
No, they have the base pay, the way it's set up is that they would have a base pay.
Yep.
And then if they meet the minimum of hours each month, they would earn that base pay. If they don't. meet-
Minus a 12.
They don't earn it. So if someone's casual and they never pick up hours, their paycheck at the end of the year is gonna be 0. And if they only pick up some hours that don't meet that minimum, all they'll have is that on-call time pay. They won't have any of their base pay if they didn't meet 60 hours in a month.
And they all know about this.
They're the ones that set the rates and they're the ones
Perfect.
that made all the decisions.
Good.
Good.
I'll make a motion to approve the ambulance report.
Second.
So one thing on the ambulance report, where are you guys with day coverage?
We are doing better on day coverage. Wabasso is still helping us out.
Because townships are talking and we had our last meeting last week and the discussion was Lambert is covering half, or Wabasso is covering half the time. We should pay half less here and pay the other half to them being covering, so.
So if you guys go on a fire call and Lamberton has to cover your area, does Lambert,
But
it's a
it's not every day though.
No,
I mean, we go to the calls.
we are doing our best.
Right.
We are covering
But-
most, right now, I'd say we're covering 75% of the day calls.
But you need to.
But we don't
this has
have
been
enough
talked
people.
about.
And I understand that.
So, and, I mean, we talked about last year, I wasn't on the town board then, but it got discussed again.
I will say, I would have appreciated if you would have brought this to me before now at the meeting.
I talked to Dale today,
Yeah,
so
I would have appreciated if you brought it to me before
so
the
I
meeting. but
don't know if you called, but.
Anyway,
But anyway, the issue is. The township's getting upset that we pay Wabasso $200 a year and we're paying Lamberton. 1,500 something, and. Is it fair to Wabasso that they get 200 now, that was their discussion and. But.
Yeah, it's something that should be negotiated if.
And that's not something that can be done overnight either, because the E EMSRB's got to be involved and,
Well, the pay is that's your deal.
Yeah.
You guys set the pay, I mean, that's,
but I mean, if you want to change,
well, they're not talking
I
about
mean-
changing coverage, but. There is, should we pay half to Lamberton and the other half to Wabasso, being they're covering us half the time and. Like I said, it was discussed last year. I don't know, I mean, the guys talked about last year and it's just, it doesn't seem like nothing's changed and. Wabasso's still covering and. I don't know. Whether you have to talk to the fire department and get those guys involved, they're first responders,
We've been down all these avenues, so just so you know, it's not, again, it's not something that's just being pushed to the side. We've spent a lot of time this summer and
I know
spring
it's hard to find people.
going through a lot of options with the ambulance thing and fire department trying to help them and stuff, so it's not stuff we haven't considered or looked at either, so. But things like that should be negotiated, basically, that's. So, Nick's the director, so that's
Contact him.
where it should go. All right, so we had the motion and a second, right? All in favor, say aye. Aye. By opposed? Word accepted, fire department. Police report, we got the one in the packet. Anything to add, dude, or anything?
I thought Jenna gets them talking about the SWAT car. They would not worry about the rear seal, it's hardly wet, but it's hardly dripping, so. I don't know what to say there, but, they said the trucks are. Definitely to be replaced eventually. There's check engine light is evaporation code, so that most cars check engine lights are on. They didn't find the misfire, so it wasn't a coil pack. The noise we were hearing at the front end was a tire because of the struts were making the tires wear, so they're making them hum. So in reality, there wasn't a lot. The charging issue with the battery, so that's under warranty yet. So like I said, they said they wouldn't worry about the rear main seal. They said they could put a treatment that they use that they put through. I've used it a couple times on my vehicle. They said that'll sometimes help clean the engines, and then they don't build as much pressure, might be pushing some out. So that's this, they aren't done with it. So that's something if you guys wanted to do, they could service it and do that tomorrow. But otherwise, they said they wouldn't worry about the rear main seal or anything. So once we get back, we can get new tires put on it and the battery changed and should be good.
Who's the battery, who do we have to go to for the battery?
I think Dan put the battery in, but it's an interstate, so he was gonna check with his guy and see if he would switch it, but he wasn't sure being. So he'll check with his guy, otherwise he'll get Dan to warranty the battery and put tires on it. So. But he said just watch the rear main, like I say, if you wanna have him do that treatment to the engine, because that would probably help it. Doesn't get driven a lot, doesn't get a lot of miles, so it gets built up. He said it cleans everything out.
I think it'd be a good idea. Yep, I would do it.
It's not like thousands of dollars.
$100 or something, 120, I don't remember for sure.
well, there should be plenty of money in the budget for that yet.
I would think. Well, we haven't done too much to it, so. Well, like I said, I told them
To do it.
as far as anything else, any major distress, I said we can wait to see. I mean, we don't go out of town much, so. For the most part, it's good enough for, getting around town right now. It would happen, or whatever. So. But like I say, the main problem that we thought was the major thing that we remained, he said I would worry about it. So I'll just tell them to service it and do the engine clean and should be done then.
Is it,
When you bring it back, just order tires with Dan.
I guess my concern is, should we get them struts replaced? If we're getting new tires on it, if,
You could, you need struts in the line, he said it's $300 plus strap plus labor. He wasn't sure on the labor, but you probably I suppose you have $1,200, I suppose.
If it was me, I would do it.
Yeah.
Because the tires that you guys put on there are not cheap tires. I mean, they're good tires.
If we're gonna keep that squad, I just, so I'll do it.
even if we're not, the thing's got 70-some thousand miles on it, even if we sold it,
Yeah,
we're gonna
Right.
want new.
yeah. You ain't gonna wanna,
No, right.
somebody peeks under there.
It could last for forever too, I mean, it. So,
I mean, it doesn't have a lot of miles. I mean, I don't, if a guy fixes these things, I don't think it needs to be replaced. I mean, it's a lot of money to. That's a perfectly good car, yet my thought on it.
so even if we end up trading it or selling it or something, it's you still, you should be able to recoup on something like
It's their own
that.
issue. Say you did have a high pursuit or
Right.
something and something happened, and you knew that the struts were bad, that'd be a bad deal.
So I can let them know that they can just go order those and change them right away.
I think you should.
Yep.
Okay, anything else on the police report?
I'll make a motion to accept the police report.
Second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Board accepted maintenance.
I well about last week, and they did the well rejuvenation. They actually got earlier than what they had planned. They had something postponed, so they came in and it actually went extremely well. They got a lot of the drawdown, whatever back, and then we're up to 324 gallons a minute flow again. Down to 220. So it came back considerably. So, I mean, every time you do it, you're not gonna get it back. Every time you do it, you get 80% back of what you had. So eventually, you know, it's gonna decrease, but we didn't have anything and we decided to go ahead and do it, so. So that, everything went well. There was no disturbance in town at all that anybody was aware of, so. It went very well. The guys were phenomenal. So I have a bunch of stuff.
Full pipes, how'd they come out?
Yes. Cool. So I don't know if you told any of these guys of what.
No, I haven't seen them.
So I was up at the pool. I called Lydell. He come up. Val was up there that one day. And this year I was having an issue with getting it to prime. It was sucking so much air back on the skimmer side. And we were winterizing it or partially winterizing it, and I threw a hammer down in a hollow underneath the cement. So we jackhammered cement out, and underneath it, there was an 8-inch void next to one of the skimmers. Well, we dug down. This is on the deep end that they put in 2014. We dug down, and instead of backfilling the skimmers, they poured the entire thing full of concrete. And the pipe is busted inside the concrete underneath the skimmer. So I brought Lydell up there to see what was going on, to show him before disturbed everything. We have not been back up in there and tried to gently chip the concrete away, is what our plan is. Because ultimately, we don't want to break the skimmers because they go through the face of the pool and then you're just opening up another can of worms. So I talked to Matt Lenny, And he's got a little inspection camera and stuff. So here in the next couple weeks, we're gonna open up some more. And we're gonna try to televise the other ones now and see if they're broken also. So it's just, but this is the time of year we need to start going on it, so. Wanted to bring that to your guys' attention. As I know more, I will let you know. I don't know how deep this thing could get. I just don't. I mean, and it's nothing that we did. I mean, it was crappy installation and you don't put pipes and cement 2 foot. You just don't. So we're gonna do the best we can to try to duct tape her back together. Get it going.
Leak on Main Street, you find it?
We did. Good. And we got the bill for that and I was pleasantly surprised how cheap that was. $1,300, Nick?
Yeah,
13, it's about
1385 or something
14.
like that. Yeah, it was under 1,400 and he was out here for 8 hours.
So, and he come out and he set his little machine down. And the computer typed in a bunch of stuff and it said 82 feet from this hydrant, 95 feet from this hydrant, dig right here. And when we dug down, we didn't find the actual leak, but we found what it was an abandoned service line that. So we found the issue. In the process, we also fixed another issue. LJ's shut off was leaking. So that we got fixed also at the same time, so. Trying to get a hold of somebody to come in to get Main Street patched. And 6th Avenue. Winter. And then hopefully get the new addition out there too for those people. They've been waiting long enough too. So, other than that, we're gonna be doing hydrant flushing and sewer flushing here the end of October, first part of November. And start sucking up leaves. Now that they're dropping. Now that it's, as of October 15th, we can start taking down trees with that ash grant, with that ash borer grant. We had to wait till cold weather months in order to do that, so. That's what we'll be doing in our spare time.
All right, anything else?
We'll get those signs ordered tomorrow. 4 signs. I don't know.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve it. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Board accepted. Administration EDA, Al?
Oh, doing some EDA work, started making calls on assisted living options. Working on options for the industrial park, Southside addition lots. I'm still waiting for one family to sign off on the covenants. We did end up having an EDA meeting last week. More budget work, looking at the rates for the coming year, unclaimed property, cleaned up some of the outstanding checks. Regional Parks meeting I will participate in this and it's a group that's trying to link all the parks in Southwest region together as best they can. And the goals is to improve tourism and things for people in the region to do. I'm working with Police Dash Can and applicants, working on that League of Minnesota Cities insurance renewal. Payrolls, MC is a policy meeting. The air conditioner went out, the compressor and the air conditioner in the ambulance building went out. We did tell them to go ahead and order a new unit. The difference between replacing the compressor and a new unit was about $1,800. But with all the trouble they've had with that unit and not having any warranty, we decided just to get a new unit. That way it is under warranty and then it's actually a Lennox unit so that the people in town that can work on it. Next November, the November council meeting, Chris Ambu with Bollig will be here to present their long-term plans for Lamberton and also present some options for the industrial park. I've invited the EDA people and the parties that have expressed interest out at the industrial park to be there. So hopefully everybody can be there for that. And then just so that you're aware, it's got posted today, but the EDA farmland, the south side is going up for bids, so for a new renter. So I posted it online today and it will be in the newspaper the next 2 weeks. And then we'll open those bids on the 26th at the next EDA meeting.
Do you feel, for the November meeting, should we move it to the community center?
Or,
If there's gonna be a lot of people there because of the Bollig thing?
oh, we could. Yeah.
I think that's what we did.
We did it,
last time.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, no, we can do that.
Instead of crammed in here.
I mean, if people show up for
Right,
it, you
right.
know,
Nope, that's fine.
We gotta do a motion to move that meeting, right?
Probably should.
I'll make that.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Somebody want to hear you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
I'll make that motion to approve the administration ADA report.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. By opposed? Motion carries. Okay, then we've got ordinance and resolutions. 2022-20, 2022-21. 2022-22. And RCA for liability coverage, which we do every year. We,
Right, I just.
and then 23, and we added the 24 for election judges.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, two extra judges that weren't on that last resolution when we did it in spring, it was late summer.
And then that would cover the financial report and approval of claims also, right? Is that all in one or just the RCA's?
Just the resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions on anything, or does somebody want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it. The ordinance and resolution.
Got a motion and a second.
Second.
Daryl,
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
By opposed? Motion carries. And then we've got the financial report and approval of claims.
I will make the motion for those two.
I'll second
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
it.
By opposed? Carries. Okay, mayor and council reports and communications. Information for the council, the UCAP summaries.
And then we have 2 spots left. I did hand out a few more applications, so. You know, we're getting down to the tight time because the work has to be done by September of next year, but if anybody's interested, stop in.
Oh, it said they were all full down here.
Here it says one slot open.
It actually says -1, so it says they have an extra one. But
I don't know, here there are two of them that are.
there's nothing on those two, so maybe that's.
I think that's one of them that's in the works, but they haven't agreed.
Could be. Yeah, just be nice to make sure we use all 20 so that if we do another one anytime in the future. Okay, anything else for communication? The Grove Street, what street am I thinking of down there? The Grove. We get that off of the plan thing, is that?
Yeah, and, this will address that during that planning.
You did reach out to slow down.
Okay, then next meeting date is November 14th, 2022 at 6:30, which will now be at the community center instead of here. Anybody got anything else? Otherwise, we'll take a motion.
Motion adjourned.
Motion and a second, all in favor?